So I'm Alex Fox, and I'm the director of Notting Contemporary, and I'm very pleased to have with me Sir Nicholas Serota, and Nick's come up from London to help us launch Aquatopia, which I think is our 15th exhibition. We're 3.5 years in, and Nick was here at our launch and helped us launch Notting Contemporary quite a few years ago. So, I mean, Nick, your impressions on return?
I've been back several times, as you know, since, and I've seen several of these sort of really ambitious shows that you've done, these big shows that look at a whole subject across history and into the contemporary, and the way in which you bring the past and the present together is really imaginative. There aren't many other galleries in the United Kingdom doing it, and this particular show is just full of such treasures. From, some of them from the Tate. Well, some of them are from the Tate, but actually some of them come from the Maritime Museum. Some of them have been found in very strange and odd corners, as you might expect for a subject of this kind.
Yeah. No,
people have been very generous with their loans.
They really have been. For example, that little Lucien Freud, which we discovered is actually Martin Clark from Tate and Ives from Preston. Beautiful painting, and a kind of anomaly, but also typical at the same time.
But I love the show because of the way in which you have, on that same wall, you have Lucien Freud and Jürgen Teller and Lucien Freud, little still life of sea animal, and then Jürgen Teller showing Bjork eating black spaghetti. It's great.
With the black ink kind of dripping from both. Yeah, and I'm very excited that this is going to St Ives. It feels like a kind of perfect collaboration. It's great to work with Martin. It feels very in tune with what he's been doing there. And, for me, it's the second show I've curated there, so it's wonderful to be back. And, it's wonderful. We're so landlocked here. It's wonderful to show the exhibition again in a different way, in such an amazing oceanic setting. And how do you? And we've not begun planning the installation. How do you envisage it?
I think. Martin is going to work on the installation, but I think that clearly it will have a very different aspect and a very different resonance, as you say, in St Ives, with that history of artists who've worked. Some of them very much engaged with the sea, others not so much. But I think here you are in Nottingham, you couldn't be almost further from the sea. But it's very, very intense collaboration between the two institutions. And as you say, I think it's a show which neither could probably have made on its own, but working together, they've made a show, you've made a show, which is as good as anything one's going to see anywhere in this country this summer.
Thank you. Thanks. And a wider question about Tate and the visual arts infrastructure around the country. How would you describe Tate's relationship to venues like Notting Contemporary?
I think the exciting thing over the last 15 years has been the emergence of these new institutions, Turner Contemporary, Nottingham Contemporary, the Hepworth and Wakefield, many of them built with lottery money, and all of them run by a new generation of curators wanting to break the boundaries, use sometimes great works from the national collections in new ways. And what the Tate can do is to facilitate that. We can make available these things which sometimes you tear them from our galleries, sometimes you take them out of the so-called basement. But one way or another, it makes really incredibly imaginative use of this great national resource. And that was always the hope in building these galleries across the country. And what we've seen, whether it's here or in Margate or in Wakefield, is a huge appetite for people to engage with contemporary art. If you'd said 20 years ago, over the course of 2 or 3 years, you'll get nearly 800,000 people coming to see contemporary art in Nottingham, they would have said, forget it.
But don't you think we have to take fewer risks, looking into a much more difficult economic context?
I don't think if you fail to take risk, you will not excite the imagination of your visitors. You have to go on taking risk. In some way or another, you have to take risk. You have to challenge people. You have to excite them. You have to give them something memorable. And you don't do that if you play safe. You don't do that if you give them what they expect. The form of the unexpected can vary enormously, but I think you really have to keep challenging. Otherwise, you're dead.
Thank you very much, Nick.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay.
Right, so we've got it. Yep.